All right, what is up, everybody? We are back for another week of the Sports 2.0 Golf Show. Justin Unken here with Grant Bale.
What's up?
Decent week last week at the WGC. That's a hard event, especially on the derivative side. Our guy Sergio Garcia, who we were both on, bogeyed I think his last two holes to finish outside the top 20. Otherwise, I had a pretty strong week.
Yeah, Harris kind of screwed my playoff by kind of choking there at the end. I'm playing into the playoff. Sorry, he screwed my margin. Berger top 10. I won the matchup with your penny stock bet of the week, which was perfect. The matchup that I mentioned on the show last week, and then Will Z top 20. So not too bad.
Yeah, it was not a bad week. This week is the last event before the FedEx Cup playoffs. All the guys on the 125 bubble will be trying to get some points, move inside the top 25, or stay inside the top 125 so they can qualify for the playoffs. And some of them have their tour card on the line. Some people have their exemption extended in next year just by virtue of how they got it, but others won't. Others won't have that possibility. They're going to lose their tour card if they don't get in the top 125. So that's one thing to watch. The coverage is usually pretty good with that at this event. They're following that pretty closely and check and see where guys are. And it usually comes down to the last few holes. So that will be something interesting to watch as we head into the playoffs. Wyndham Championship.
Do you want to maybe hit on that? Is that if you don't finish in the top 25 in the season, then if you're in the top 125 to 150, right? Then you join the Korn Ferry guys.
I believe so. And then there's Q school, which you can call. You can go in and try to get your Q card via Q school.
So you need to be in the top 125 at the end of the year, which is this week's event, and then you can get your card renewed for next year.
Yeah. Yep. And some guys who will finish outside the 125 will keep it based on like a win or world ranking or something like that. Like I think Ricky Fowler's outside the top 125 right now. I'm positive he would keep it if he didn't get in there just based on his whatever other qualifications he has.
Right.
But you need to try to sneak in there to secure that and to. If you get lucky and you have a really good week next week, you can jump inside the top 70 and move on to the next event. And then, it's all money for these guys ultimately at the end of the day. They have incentives, big incentives this week. And, Wyndham Championship this week at Sedgefield Country Club. The field is pretty weak overall. It's been a crazy last month with the Open and the Olympics and WGC. Many of the top guys have just played a bunch, so they're going to take the week off before the playoffs. And it kind of gives those guys on the bubble an opportunity to have a really, really good finish. Especially at an event like this. This is a Birdie Fest style event where 22 under is won every year. Don't see any reason that won't happen again. So those usually bring the whole field into play for the most part. It makes it hard to bet on our end, but it brings the field into play and gives those guys who are, in the 130 range a chance.
Yeah, not only does it bring the field in play, it also gives us a possible opportunity to get a long shot. And I have a long shot here at my outrights coming up, so I'll be excited to put that in. It's a guy that I like to bet. And, if you hit it, it's a highlight of the season. If not, then it makes sense because hitting an outright is impossible, especially in the plus 100 section.
Yeah.
100 1 odd, yeah.
So Sedgefield Country Club is a Donald Ross design. It's a classic tour stop, classic style course. They've played it for a super long time. It's pretty short. It's a par 70. It's not a bomber's course by any stretch. You just want to get it in play and get it on the green. Tiny greens for the most part. And basically they're small enough that anywhere you get it on the green, you've got a kind of a chance to make the putt. So those players who are hitting the most greens are going to have the most, legitimate birdie looks. That's typically been the route to victory here is a bunch of strokes gained on approach and putting. Putting is hard to predict, certainly. There are some guys who are better on Bermuda, which I'll definitely be touching on this week. But ultimately, it's those iron players and wedge players who will give themselves the best chance, and the guys who have shown the ability to go low in these Birdie Fest style events.
Yeah, it's always good to kind of look at guys and how they perform, right? Do they perform in easy style events or hard events? This would definitely be on the easier style. And I also kind of looked at how guys have performed on the greens at this specific course. I have a guy specifically I'm going to mention here in my top 10 that has been putting. Not only is a good putter himself, but has putted really, really well at this course. And I think that should carry over for an event like this, where you can just kind of put it on the green, and then everything else just kind of goes by confidence and being comfortable.
Yeah, definitely. Well, let's hop into the picks. I think there is some really good value this week on the outright market. Now, picking who's going to win this event, particularly any of these birdie fest style events, is difficult because, like I said, brings so much in the field and play. Jim Herman won last year, broke my heart. I was sitting on a Horschel outright. I felt like a genius getting on Horschel, and he missed 3 of the easiest putts you've ever seen in your life coming down the stretch. I vowed never to bet him outright again, and I believe that has been the case because that was like the least clutch putting of all time. But Jim Herman, JT Poston, random dudes. I think Ben On almost won this event. It's kind of a crapshoot, but the trend is certainly not a crapshoot. It's iron play and putting. So that's where I'm going with my first outright pick this week. Sung J M 30-1. He's just performed really, really well at Donald Ross courses, and particularly this event. He's made 5 cuts in a row. He's got 1 top 10 in there. He's not playing like unbelievable golf, but he's gained strokes on approach in all 5 of those starts. He's gained putting in 4 of those 5, and he just fits this course. He's one of those guys that he just knows how to get it in the fairway, get it on the green, and he's a really, really good Bermuda putter. All of his good finishes are on Bermuda. And he's kind of had a down year after a really strong year last year. I think myself included, a bunch of people predicted him to have a really good season. I thought he might even contend for top 10 FedEx Cup standings just because he plays a lot and, he has a pretty good floor. It just hasn't been there this year. So it'll be interesting to see him here down the stretch in the playoffs if he can get himself back in the Tour Championships, bubble, get himself close to that, and I think he can. I think he can win this week. This course fits perfectly for him.
Yeah, I like it. He has all the talent in the world, and he's a guy that's going to win. So being on a guy where he's going to have wins in his career coming, I don't hate it because I bet a lot of guys who don't have a lot of wins coming up. So it's even better than that.
Definitely.
I have Seamus Power, another guy who might not have a lot of wins coming up in his future. But Seamus Power at 50-1. I'm going to go down a little bit lower on the board than you this week, but that's fine. Seamus Power has made 9 straight cuts, and he's had 6 straight top 20. 6 straight. It's all been in his irons and his putting, which I love. I think that's just as right with what you just said. He's good on Bermuda, which is great, and I think he's going to be featured in my bet card for my favorite bet of the week here in a little bit.
Yeah, I love Seamus Power. He has been arguably as hot as anyone, not an elite player on tour over the last. I mean, he hasn't finished worse than 19th since May.
Right.
Like he hasn't not finished in the top 20 since May. He's coming off a win, his last start in a playoff. So, and he's been succeeding in these types of events specifically, the ones where you got to go low to do it. So I love that. And at 50-1, it seems like pretty good value for a guy who just won. My second guy, I'm not going as far down the board. I do think there's some value down there, but I just loved Russell Henley this week. 33-1. He is a perfect fit for this golf course. 3rd in strokes gained approach over the last 36 rounds, 18th in opportunities gained. And what I really, really like is on this course, you're going to have a ton of shots from 125 to 150 and a really ton of shots from 150 to 175. He's 7th in proximity from 150 to 175 and 3rd from 125 to 150. It's kind of going to come down to his putter. He's going to have no problem being in the fairway, and based on those stats, he's going to be peppering the pin. If he can find the putter for 2.5 of the 4 days, he should be in pretty good shape. He's gained strokes putting in his last 3 tournaments. Bermuda's by far his best putting surface. He had 3 top 20s in his last 4 starts, so he's playing decent. This course just makes a ton of sense for him to finally get a win. 9th here last year. And I think he's kind of priced right now. Henley's not a guy who wins, so 33-1 doesn't seem awesome. But in this field, I think it's a fair number.
Yeah, I like it. He's been featured on this, on this show in a lot stronger field events. So, I like that we can kind of bump him up a little bit and go for the outright in a field like this, because I think that, especially on a short course, I think it fits just like you said, and it's a good value for him.
Definitely. You got a really long shot.
Yeah. I'm going to top us off with a 150 to 1, which is we don't see a lot.
170.
170. Oh, sorry. We could be bumped
At the
up.
right, if you shop it, 170.
Okay. 171, even better, right? Keep on in our pockets. Hendrik Norlander. He's made 5 straight cuts. He's made the cut 2 out of 3 times that he's played in this event, and he's coming off a top 5 at the Barbasol. His approach in hitting fairways is how he scores. That's just kind of who he is as a golfer, and I think that fits exactly with what we're doing here in an event where the field isn't crazy strong, and I think a little bit of a wild winner could come. Hendrik Norlander fits that type of guy who he has the talent and he has the pedigree to maybe get a win. At the same time, it would have to be under certain circumstances in a field like this.
Yeah, Norlander is a guy that I've bet a lot over the last couple of years. He popped earlier this season, then kind of faded again. He's kind of hot and cold.
Right.
But when he's on with his irons, he is super good iron player. His putter it's not something you want to watch a lot of, but he's shown the ceiling with his putter that's like good enough to win an event like this.
Right.
That's kind of my thing. Like with my top 10 guy coming up is like he's way better than Norlander, but he's never shown us the ceiling of putting to like win a birdie fest type of event. So I think Norlander has done that, and at 170, like that's a decent dart throw.
Yeah, I like it, and it's not too bad to always add something like that, because if it happens, then it's time to party. So I like it.
Definitely. Your top 10 guy, I like quite a bit this week. I wrote an article for a client earlier this week that he was mentioned in. Not somebody that I normally bet, but at plus 490 on a top 10, like you can't beat that.
Yeah, that's a really good number. You got Kevin Na at top 10. He's had a top 10 in his 2 attempts at this event. So this will be 3 in a row if he hits it, which I like the odds at 490 just to keep doing what he's always been doing, which is fine. And this is the same thing I was talking about earlier with a guy who gains on his putter like crazy at this event. Both events he gained a ton on the greens. He got second at the John Deere here recently, so he's confident. He's in some sort of decent form. Top 25 at the St. Jude. He's coming in off that. I like him to make putts, and score in the high numbers with these guys, because if you score really high, you're going to have a chance to be in that top 10. Hopefully he'll be, teeing off towards the end of the day on Sunday.
Yeah, I think that it makes total sense that he has 2 top 10s here. Like his game just makes sense for this course. He can really get hot with his putter. When he wins tournaments, it's usually because he went like plus 10 on strokes gained putting. And at this course, you can do it. I'm pretty sure we saw, I can't remember. Somebody that finished in the top 5 last year gained like 12 strokes putting. Like they just you can do it here. The greens are small. If you hit enough of them, you're going to have a lot of good looks, and they're greens that you can make putts on. So I like Kevin Na plus 490 on a course that he seems to like. And the guy I teased as my top 10, I'm going back to the well over and over again. Will Zalatoris plus 320. Like I said, I don't know if his putting ceiling is high enough to win a birdie fest. I think he's going to have some wins on tour. He's one of the best iron players there is. I just don't know that it's going to be an event where you have to make a ton of putts. He just doesn't make a ton of putts. Now, he took some time off recently, hasn't played a ton of golf because he kind of lost some form. And he came back last week and gained 3.3 on the greens. Now, if he does that this week with like his potential ball striking, he will win like that. He's the best iron player in this field, like other than maybe Louis. It's kind of him and Louis as the best iron players in this whole field. And I have 320 for a top 10. The one thing that I definitely want to mention with Zalatoris, he needs to win this event.
Mm-hmm.
He's the one player in this field that has the biggest incentive to win this event because he is playing on tour on a temporary status, which means he does not get to play in the FedEx Cup playoffs unless he wins this tournament. And if the thing is, if he wins the tournament, he's accrued enough FedEx Cup points that he would be in like the top 45 and have a chance at Tour Championship. So he needs to win this bad. Now, maybe that's too much pressure, or maybe not. He seems like a guy that deals with pressure pretty well. So it wouldn't surprise me if he's in the hunt and people are talking about, man, what a Cinderella story. All year we keep talking about he needs to win, and bang, the last week he gets it done. So, but on a top 10 plus 320 on a course that asks you to hit really good irons, and he's the best iron player in the field, I'll take it.
Yeah, I like it. It's going to be in his mind for sure, because that's a big money event, and that's a sort of thing that top players play in. So when you're out of it, you kind of feel left out, especially of a guy who has ball striking ability. He does compared to those other guys in that tournament. He feels like he should be just as long with one of them. So the motivation is going to be there, and if he's in contention, then those 9 spots behind him are going to be perfect cushion for a top 10.
Yeah. I just think his upside is really, really high.
Right.
Top 20s, there's a lot of value this week. I think that there's quite a few players that are mispriced who fit the mold for this course. And one of them is your guy. I love Kevin Kisner this week.
Yeah, I got Kevin Kisner on the top 20. He's at 3 top 10s in his 5 attempts on this event. His irons haven't been great, but I like him more in these types of fields, and especially a course like this. I think we can kind of disregard some of that form, not completely, but just a little, just enough where it's like he'll be comfortable here. We've seen his comments before, right, about playing shorter courses or playing just courses that are more birdie fest like this in general. Just like he's like, oh, hey, this is where it brings everybody in who actually has a chance to win.
That's where he makes his money.
Right. So I like Kevin Kisner here on the top 20. Really good number at 250. He was good at the Travelers. He was good at Rocket Mortgage. I like him to come in here and compete. Hopefully be in that 17 to 8 range.
Yeah, he was having a not great season, honestly, but his form has kind of come around the last couple months. Right. And you put him in the southeast of the United States on a Bermuda golf course, and he just shows up and putts really well. So plus 250 on the top 20 is really good. My guy this week is a little bit more of a, I don't know, he's a little bit up and down. Taylor Gooch plus 310. Now the number is super good. I think most of the numbers on the derivative stuff this week are from FanDuel for whatever reason. They offer better numbers from what I've found. FanDuel's not sponsoring this show, but I certainly like their derivative numbers a lot. So he has 7 straight made cuts, and he hasn't finished worse than 44th, and that was at the PGA in a super good field. Right. This is not a super good field. He's got a few top 20s involved there. He's been good with his irons. He's had 2 really good weeks and then a few decent weeks. He's actually been putting good. But I'm sitting here looking at his Fantasy National, his player profile, where you can see the red and the green, where he's gaining and losing on off the tee approach or around the green putting in general. And it just looks like a checkerboard. There's not usually when you pull up a guy, there's one column all green, one column kind of red, one column maybe both, and then one column green again. His is like a checkerboard. He doesn't do, he doesn't have that one thing that he does awesome every single week. Now, he typically is a good iron player. He's second in approach over the last 36 rounds in this field. He has 4 super, super good events. That's kind of buoying him in that. But his ceiling is potentially win, I think. He has all the talent in the world. If he could ever just pair it up, 3 weeks ago or 3 tournaments ago for him, which was the Memorial, he was awesome except off the tee. He finished 18th, losing 4 strokes off the tee. If he can just not do that, he's going to be in great shape because he has the ceiling with the irons and the putter to win an event like this. And plus 310 on a top 20. That's super good odds. So I'll take the upside on Gooch at that number.
Yeah, I like it. He has all the upside in the world, and we've bet him a lot, you and I together over the past couple of years. And so when he plays well, he's right up there. And then sometimes he disappoints you, but when he hits, he hits. He doesn't have much middle ground, so I like out on bets like this.
Definitely. I am going against the chalk here. This is a bit of a gamble on my head-to-head this week in my matchup. I'm taking Decky plus 115 over Webb. This has largely been the Webb Simpson Invitational over the last 6 or 7 years. I think he has 6 top 5s. But Webb has not been playing good. He's just not been good. He's lost strokes on approach in 4 of his last 5 events. Obviously, he's a good putter, and this course fits him. But Decky has been awesome. Number one in approach in this field over the last 36 rounds, second in opportunities gained, fourth in birdies or better gained. His proximity stats are unbelievable. And I don't mind getting Decky on these smaller greens where he's not three-putting all the time. He's going to give himself a ton of birdie looks. So at the very least, he's just going to be making a bunch of pars if he doesn't putt well. He's not going to be making bogeys. I just think that Decky has played as good as most people on the planet over the last few months. He had win the Masters. He played really well at the Olympics. I think did he get in that playoff for bronze? I think he did. Second at the WGC last week. His irons are just elite right now, and Webb's are not. So I'll take the plus money and just kind of hope that Decky's a top 5.
I bet against him last week, and it didn't go out. It didn't go well. So
yeah, second place.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. His putter's been fine. When his putter is kind of neutral and his irons are on, it's going to be really hard to beat him.
The 3 of the last 4 weeks, he's gained at least 6 strokes on approach. 3 of the last 4 events he's played. That's good.
That's really good. I'll be right there with you, and hopefully I'll make it back off of him. We can call it good, shake hands, and move on to me and Decky. So I have Ryan Armour over Joel Damon at -110. 4 straight top 25s here for Ryan Armour. He's gaining on approach and gaining on putting on all 4 of them. Both of his July starts were top 10s, where he's been good there. He hits it in the fairway. He performed well for us when he was on our card here a few weeks ago. He's good in easy scoring events. That's just kind of how he is when he could kind of get in the fairway, and then it's just kind of a birdie fest competition after that, right? Just get it in the middle, and then everything kind of happens, post drive. So I like Ryan Armour's fit. Damon hasn't done enough for me to kind of be scared off of it, because I know Ryan Armour gives me a pretty high floor. Damon won an easy scoring event earlier this season. I understand that, but he can be way up and down. I'm going to take the -110. Not a lot of juice on a guy who's just going to give me a pretty standard performance and try to win my matchup that way.
Yeah, Damon is the type of guy that I'd like betting against, because it's just kind of a roller coaster. Right. He can finish 10th and then miss 6 cuts in a row. There's no rhyme or reason to it. So yeah, I like betting against the volatility of Damon with a guy in Armour who seems to just show up in these events, and you probably get a 25th, 30th finish out of him.
Right. Yeah, I think it's good value. Not a lot of juice, and if you're gonna just treat it as kind of like a head-to-head bet where it's pretty even, I like taking a guy who's just going to has a lot more promise to his game.
Yeah, and you're going back. I got the margins again this week.
Yeah, we got screwed last week by Harris not coming through and going wire to wire to finish, 1 or 2 stroke for us. But the good thing this week is I got a 4-1 on a 2-stroke winner this week, which is really nice on our thing. I'll say it. I'll continue to say it every single week, is that it doesn't matter if you lose. You just have to keep betting it, because it'll hit enough where you'll win. So we just keep betting it. 1-stroke, 2-stroke, 225, and 4-1.
Yep. Just keep doing it, and over time, and you'll reap the benefits, definitely.
Right.
My penny stock pick of the week. This is my favorite bet of the whole week. Brian Stewart. You can get him at +150 to win the tournament. Ooh. He is mispriced more than any player, in my opinion, because I get Brian Stewart is not good. He's Brian Stewart, but when you sort his stats over the last 36 rounds, he's doing the exact things that you have to do at this golf course. 28th in approach, 25th putting, 18th around the green. So the driver doesn't matter here. He bunts it, but it doesn't matter. He'll just be in the fairway.
He hits in the fairway.
He's 3rd in fairways gained. So if this tournament is played from the fairway in, he's top 30 in approach, around the green, putting, opportunities gained, proximity from 125 to 150, and from 150 to 175. He just is solid in all those categories. He popped 6th in my model this week, in 150 to 1.
I like it.
What I like is Brian Stewart's also playing really good. He's got a 6th, a 15th, and an 8th. His last 3 starts, all in events where you got to just shoot a million under par. So I don't understand why he's priced so low, other than the fact that his name is Brian Stewart. His track record here isn't awesome, but I don't know if he's ever played quite this good heading into this tournament. So I like him quite a bit. Another Donald Ross course, the Detroit Club, where they play the Rocket Mortgage. He's a 5th and a 30th there. He's a pretty good Bermuda putter. I just think that he's way mispriced, and you can get him on a top 30 at plus 225.
Yeah, I love it. He's on my list. I was hoping that he'd be featured on the show because he hits fairways, and I think that's crucial because, like I said, with Ryan Armour, I think the game's going to be played post dry. Once you get it out there, I think it's just going to be a kind of a contest. Who can perform after that?
Definitely.
He'll be in the fairway. He has all the stats to back it up, like you said. And we gave you a 150 and a 170, so let's keep our fingers crossed and hope that one of the two will be in contention on Sunday.
Yeah, and don't forget, most of these books offer each-way betting.
Right.
That means you're getting like a 30-1 on the top 6, depending on what the book is offering. So don't be afraid to each way those guys and any other guys that are in the 100+ range that you like.
Yeah,
best
really
bets. Another guy that I've been betting a bunch. I'm going back to Hank Lebioda. He broke our hearts a little bit with that withdrawal a couple weeks ago. He was probably going to top 20. He was playing super good golf. But he has Crohn's. Sometimes Crohn's pops up. I'm pretty sure that's what it was. Maybe not. I don't remember exactly. But I saw an article about the Crohn's thing. So what are you going to do? But plus 320 on a top 20 for a guy who is playing fantastic golf at the moment.
Right.
He popped 5th in my model, and he is just like Brian Stewart in that he does exactly what you need to do here. 16th in approach, 10th in putting, 16th in birdies or better gained. Really good proximity from 150 to 175. He hits a ton of greens, and he can putt. He's gained strokes putting in 5 straight and gained a lot putting. He's got an 8th, a 4th, and a 5th in his last 3 starts before the WD. I don't see how he just doesn't keep riding it in these Birdie Fest style events. In a top 20 at plus 320, that's free money.
Yeah, I love these derivatives that we've been bringing on because you can use that to kind of cover your long shots. Like we've had both sides of the car here, which is good because with this good value, you can hopefully get some extra bucks, throw on some long shots, and try to win your money in the placing bet this week.
Yeah, and Hank's one of those guys. Throw an outright on him. I think he's like 70-1 or so. Not amazing for a guy who's never won, but we've had random winners here. He fits the bill perfectly for a random winner. So I love the top 20, but I wouldn't be surprised, at another top 10, or even if you wanted to be a little safer and take a top 30, the odds are probably still pretty good.
Yeah. I'm going to finish this off with Seamus Power. I started with him. I'm going to finish with him. I got a top 20 at 230. Perfect. So top 20, 230 for Seamus Power. I don't need to say whatever, repeat everything I said. He's made 9 straight cuts, 6 of them have been in the top 20 of the last 6 events. That's enough to tell you right there. He's playing awesome, easy field. The course is nothing that he can't handle. I like him at a top 20, and I think that the value is good going off of all stuff we said about the good value for placing numbers this week.
Yeah, Seamus Power hasn't – I said this earlier, I'll say it again. He has not finished worse than 19th since May. College basketball was still going on when he last finished outside the top 20. So I love it. I love it. Yeah. So 230 is a really good number for him.
Yeah.
Couple things I wanted to mention. Okay. Ricky Fowler. He is outside the top 125, and he has been playing a little bit better. That would be a guy that I would not be afraid to find a derivative or a matchup that you like. I just can see him finishing in the top 10 this week, getting into the tour or to the playoffs next week inside the top 125. I think he's like 128th, so he doesn't need a ton of points. Now he probably needs help from the people around him, but I think he gets in. It just makes sense to me that he gets in. A couple other guys on the bubble: Adam Scott, Justin Rose. There's some good golfers hanging in on the bubble that are playing this week. Matt Kuchar is another one that this course kind of sets up for. So if you want to go grab one of those more experienced players at a tournament that doesn't have a lot of them that are need a good finish, I would definitely get behind that.
Yeah, I like it. Take a look at that 125 list. See guys on the inside and the outside of the number, and kind of make your picks. By that. Obviously, go by what we said.
Definitely.
And I'm in the North Woods of Wisconsin this week, golfing on my own, and so I'm gonna be enjoying it. Hopefully, we'll tack on some money, and have another good week to end the season.
Yeah. And shout out to Allison, our producer. She produces the show every week. She interviewed an Olympic silver medalist on our YouTube page. So go to the Sports 2.0 YouTube page, watch that video. It is super cool that she got to do that. So shout out to her, and we'll see you next week.
See ya.